Hey there, welcome back. So in these videos, I spent a lot of time talking about the intangibles of leadership and squishy things like culture, and often those are hard things to kind of wrap your fingers around. So today I wanted to focus on something very simple, but it's something that you can do right now to make yourself not only a better leader, but a better learner, better life learner, and a better follower. And you can do it today. You can do it immediately after this video is over. It's 3 easy steps. Take notes, make a plan, and take action. Let me say that again. Take notes, make a plan, and take action. Let me set the context. In the service, a notebook and something to write with is an inspectable part of your uniform. At any time, somebody could ask you, and this doesn't happen that often, but it was one of those things that you were expected to have always. And for the inexperienced, myself included, it may have seemed like kind of a hassle that somebody was going to check you to see if you had a pen. I mean, it seemed kind of silly. But as was often the case with things like this, the more I did it, the more I recognized the value, and I recognized how important that discipline was. And in my experience with increased responsibility and the more things that were going on, I recognized that I wasn't smart enough to keep all the things that I had to do organized in my head. I had to write it down, or else I was going to lose it. And what I found was the mere act of writing it down also helped me to remember it. Now, that could be just for me, but I want to focus on why taking notes is important. So let's focus on step 1, take notes. Number of reasons why this is important. Number 1 is research shows that students who take notes often learn and recall about 10 to 15% more than those who don't. You know, it seems obvious, but if you want to remember something, write it down. Writing it down may make it stick in your brain better, but it's there. You've got a historical record, and you'll have it to refer back to later. And I've run into this in courses that I've taught since I retired from the Army, and I also found this, during my service, but you will tend to recall so much more of the information that you hear by writing it down. And there's more research out there. There isn't like a magic number to tell you the percentage, but if you come out of a class or you come out of a lecture, you come out of a meeting, as soon as you walk out of the room, you brain dump a bunch of that information. So writing it down tends to allow you to go back and refer to it later. I would also tell you that taking notes sends a message that you're taking the information seriously, especially in a meeting or anytime you're listening to a speaker. So again, in a class or in a lesson, I know as a speaker, I tend to pay attention to who's taking notes or not. And those who are taking notes, as you would assume, tend to retain the information, and you can tell that they're taking it more seriously. So I try to send that signal when I'm listening to somebody. If I'm taking notes, that's just a message that what they're saying is important to me. Referring back to your notes is an important part of this. I've referred to that a couple times already, but I had a friend once who referred to his notebook as the place that information goes to die, because he would take a note and never review it. I'd still argue that taking a note is better than not, but taking a note and reviewing it is probably the best way to go. Hey, thanks for being here. If you're enjoying the content, please subscribe to the Competitive Edge newsletter by scanning the QR code that you see on the screen or going to ianpalmerleadership.com/newsletter. Sign up and I'll do the rest. Culture wins. But that brings me to step 2, make a plan. I read a lot. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I talk to some really smart people through the course of what I'm doing. And I can do that all day, and I can bask in their wisdom to no personal benefit if I don't do anything with it. At the end of every session I have with people, I make sure to take the last few minutes to force people to make a plan for the 1 to 3 things that they will immediately do to improve their leadership. Because I know without that closure, most people will leave the room and never change a thing. I know that because I've been there. I've been that person. And I do that all the time. So if I don't make a plan with those little nuggets of wisdom I'm getting from the book or the podcast or the person I'm talking to, I know that I'm going to get busy. I know that I'm going to forget. So if you really want to improve as a leader or want to integrate something that you've learned through a book or through a podcast or through some other means, make a plan right away. Which brings me to step 3. You gotta take action. The plan is only useful if you actually do something. My guess is that this is the biggest hurdle for most people. Personal experience, it's the biggest hurdle for me. Do you remember those word of the day calendars they used to make? They may still make them, I don't know. But how many of you would read the word and forget it by breakfast? Yeah, me too. Okay, so that is just a great example of why you've got to make a plan, you've got to take action. The thing that's going to bring this all home for you is the action. Start building the muscle memory of this new thing by actually doing it, or taking this new piece of knowledge that you've learned and put it into practice, even if it's clunky or awkward, or even if the first couple times you don't do it well. I would say especially if the first couple times you don't do it well. Continue to do it, but you've got to have a plan, and you've got to do something with that plan for you to improve. And I would cite an example. A couple months ago, I went to a high school football coaches clinic in Ohio, and there were a number of really well-known coaches that were there speaking, and you saw a lot of the coaches taking notes, not everybody, but the one person I noticed who was also a speaker at this clinic was Eddie George. He's the Heisman winning running back, NFL Hall of Famer, who is now the head coach at Bowling Green State University. But he's relatively new to head coaching. And I watched Eddie George in the back of the room taking notes from every speaker that was there at the clinic. And that told me that if Eddie can do it, so can I. If Eddie can do it, so can you. And if you want to improve, take some notes, make a plan, and take some action. We all want to get better. We often try to get better by some fancy method or formula or new thing. But getting better is usually about keeping it simple and doing the little things well with great discipline. Little things like taking notes, making a plan, and taking action. Do it, and I promise you'll see immediate benefit. Let me know how it goes for you. Culture wins.